to Manhattan Beach in LA. The reason I'm sharing this is that was the impetus, and I ended up completing it about 6 months later. But the process I used was what birthed the habit factor. And I have since been teaching this process for 15-ish years since the book came out in 2010. Um, so that's the backstory. This is a process that works. I taught it personally to a group of entrepreneurs, and then I've taught it professionally via the Habit Factor and once the book and app came out. So in your guidebook, My Participant Friend, which we uploaded this morning, please find one of your first exercises is it's just an assessment. What habits do I want to start? Which ones do I want to stop? And I say list 3 to 5. You could list 1 to 3, and which are working that you'd like to keep. It's just an inventory, it's an assessment. So that's where we can start. That's where you should start. Now, the very first key to behavior change and habit development is awareness. I know it sounds silly, but it is simply awareness. And what I'm doing here is I'm making the case for habit tracking. Because if awareness is a requirement, and by the way, there's a great story here. If awareness is a requirement, tracking, which we'll talk about in a bit, reinforces awareness. Now, a lot of people are like, well, whatever, that sounds a little strange. So I'm going to share a very quick story. I go to this guru event. He's a Hindu priest, great guy, and I'm not bashing him. This is 6 years after the Habit Factor comes out. He sits like this before all these entrepreneurs, 150 of us, and then he talks about true story. He starts talking about how they practiced the Hindus, the training priests, monks, how they practice mindfulness, how they practice gratitude, how they practice being kind. And I'm literally on the edge of my seat going, oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait. And he says, look under your chair. Have a look under your chair. There's a guidebook. I pull out the guidebook, and he's got a habit tracker. And by the way, it's not half as good as the habit factor system, but we'll get into why later. So Hindu monks, Hindu priests were tracking habits to change their behaviors. Awareness combined with tracking. Got it? All right. This is a brand new graphic. It's so new, I'm not sure I like it that much. There's a lot going on, but I don't know why it's taken 15 years to share this. This is what's going on in your brain, so to speak. You have the prefrontal cortex. That's the executive function. This is slow, it's deliberate. Everything here is effortful and difficult, particularly when you're trying to program habits. Now, as they get programmed, they follow this highway here and they go into the limbic system. It's comprised of different parts, but the general idea here is that's the lizard brain. That's where habits and skills reside. So by tracking, using awareness up here, we are wiring the habit here. This is where it becomes fast, reflexive, automatic, instinctual. You are both the program, these are your habits, the program, and the programmer. And again, I apologize for the for those of you who can't get in at this point, but you'll get to see this. Um, so I got to keep moving, but that's critical. You're the program and